Hey there, welcome back to the Destination Baby and Kids YouTube channel. This is Gina. I'm your host and I'm super thrilled to be here with you today to do a little stroller comparison video. So what are we going to be comparing? We're going to be looking at the Joolz Aer², the Bugaboo Butterfly² and the UPPAbaby MINU V3. So if you haven't yet, go ahead, like, subscribe, follow. If it makes sense to share this with someone, go ahead and share it. We appreciate that. Now, at the end of this video, if you have fallen in love with one of these products or you want to explore the other colors, maybe some of the accessories, please go to my website, destinationbabykids.com. I'm a real brick and mortar store here in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. You can buy things directly on my website. I can ship them to you for free. So if you love learning here and you want to show your best support, go ahead and purchase something directly off my website, destinationbabykids.com. Okay, commercial's over. Let's launch into these three fabulous travel strollers. So what are we looking at? The green stroller on the end here is going to be the Joolz Aer². The stroller in the center in the gray color is going to be the UPPAbaby MINU V3. And this gorgeous navy stroller here on my left, your right, that would be the Bugaboo Butterfly². So all three of these are going to be travel-friendly strollers, which means all three of them fold with a single hand. And they all fold small enough to be IATA overhead airline compliant. So, there will be questions that people are going to ask me immediately at the end of the video. Which one folds the smallest? I would argue they all fold shockingly small, as you can see just like this. All three of these strollers have a travel strap to put over your shoulder if you want to carry them around the airport. So the Minus is on the seat itself. You have to undo the seat buckle to get at it. The Joolz is probably the best in terms of accessibility for the handle because it's right there and it's on elastic, so there's like some elasticity to that. The Bugaboo one, while it's better than last year's model, I still struggle with getting the strap to pop out in a correct position. So I'll do that before the end of the video. I feel like I have to be mindful folding it. However, the trade-off is the Bugaboo does have some really cool features. So even though the travel strap might be immediately as accessible as these other two guys, it is still there included in the purchase price. Now, all three of these will open up with the same mechanism to fold it, to open the strollers. So all three are easy to fold, and all three are easy to open. And as you can see, they all have a single hand fold and unfold. So if you're one-handed or you're concerned about any of that, all three of them are very easy to fold and unfold. All three of them have huge sunshades, which is great if you have a kiddo that is fair or just in general something to know. Children get the most sun damage the first 2 years of their life. So anytime you can put additional sunshade on them, we would strongly encourage you to do that. So as you can see, all of them have UPF 50 and we get the huge shade extension. Now, the Bugaboo and the UPPAbaby will have this option to have a flap open on top that will give you mesh ventilation. On the Joolz, when you open up the third panel, the mesh ventilation is always open, so there's no opportunity to cover it. That is a difference between these three. And the reason why I pointed out is because that was so annoying on the old Bugaboo that they got rid of that kind of feature and now they made it so you can cover that mesh. So I wouldn't be surprised if our next edition of the Joolz has that mesh able to be covered or uncovered depending on what the parent wants. So just little differences between the three in terms of canopies and folding and folded, kind of all similar but different, so things we like to go over. Now, I do have my spec sheet. This will be useful. Our Joolz is going to be $549 price point. The UPPAbaby is going to clock in at $499, and the Butterfly is Butterfly² is going to be $599. The warranty on the Joolz Aer² is very unique. It is a 10-year transferable warranty. So the other two products are not going to come close to touching that. Joolz has this thing where if you want to sell it or give it as a gift to somebody down the road, they would still stand behind the product for somebody else, even if they're not the original purchaser of the strollers, whereas that is definitely not the case with Bugaboo and UPPAbaby. You would need to be the original purchaser of the stroller, and the UPPAbaby's warranty is for 3 years, and Bugaboo is either 3 or 4. So it just depends on kind of what makes sense for you. Now, the overall weight of the strollers, the Butterfly and the MINU are heavier. They are 16 pounds. Our Joolz is a little bit lighter at about 14.3 pounds. So it is a very lightweight option, which is great for travel. All 3 of these strollers have a 21-inch backrest. So they all have a very, very tall backrest, which is great for longer bodied children. And then our canopy clearance. The Joolz Aer has a 24-inch canopy clearance, and then the MINU V3 and the Butterfly version 2 both have a 26-inch canopy clearance. So they're gonna enable a longer bodied kiddo to sit in here with sun coverage for about 2 more inches than you would get on your Joolz Aer, but they're all excellent. Harness, minimum and maximum. MINU version 3 has a starting point of 11, goes up to 16 inches. The Butterfly starts at 8.5, goes to 14.5 inches, and the Joolz goes from 8 to 15 inches. The seat width, so the seat on the Joolz is gonna be the widest at 14, Butterfly 2 is 12 inches wide, and then MINU version 3 is 13.5 inches wide. The seat depth, so we've got 8 inches on Joolz Aer², we've got 8 inches on the MINU, and then on the Butterfly 2, we've got a slightly deeper seat with a 9-inch seat depth. The crotch belt depth. MINU is unique where it has 2 position crotch belt at 3 or 5 inches. The Joolz and the Bugaboo both have a 1 crotch position, and on the Butterfly 2 it's 4 inches, and on Joolz it is 5 inches. The leg extension, which is this little piece here that folds down. They all have a movable articulating foot plate piece, so leg extension on the MINU is 5.5, on the Butterfly 2 is 6, and on the Joolz it is also 6 inches. The knee drop, so that's knee going all the way down to the little plastic piece. On your MINU version 3, your knee drop is 11 inches. On the Butterfly 2, it's 12 inches, and on the Joolz, it's a little shorter, it's 8 inches. Now, handle heights. All 3 strollers have a nice, comfortable handle height, but there are slight differences. The one with the tallest handle height for sure is Joolz. This one is nearly 42 inches. It's 41.9 inches tall. So if I scoot these next to myself so the viewing audience can see, the Joolz handle comes up over the top of the MINU ever so slightly. So Joolz, again, 41.9, MINU V3 is a 40-inch handle height, and then our Butterfly 2 is a 40.5-inch handle height. So all kind of in that same 40, 41 to 42 inches. The buckle types. So of the 3, the MINU has probably the worst buckle because it's the most traditional. It's shocking to me that they didn't change this on this model because they've moved to a magnetic buckle with all of their other products. But here it is a 3-point typical spring-mounted buckle. So if you have arthritis, something to sort of be aware of there. Joolz also has a spring-mounted pop-off buckle, but it's 5-point. So that is a, in my opinion, direct copy of the Bugaboo buckle, which is a 5-point pop-off buckle, also spring-mounted. So none of them have a magnetic buckle. I wish that at least one of them would, but I will give credit to UPPAbaby, or excuse me, to Bugaboo and to Joolz for having a 5-point pop-off harness versus the MINU is a 3-point harness. Sometimes 3 points harder for older kids because they don't want to deal with the shoulder straps. So with MINU, you're always going to have to deal with shoulder straps. With Joolz and Bugaboo, you could do just the lower portion of the harness and not have to worry about the shoulder straps. Basket capacity. So all 3 have excellent basket capacity. The basket on the UPPAbaby holds the most at 20 pounds, but Bugaboo and Joolz are both clocking in at 17.6 pounds of basket capacity. So all 3, great basket capacity. We love this on a travel stroller. Basket size. Your Butterfly 2 basket is 20 inches deep by 11.5 inches wide. Our MINU version 3 basket is going to be 17 inches deep by 14 inches wide, and our Aer² basket from Joolz is 18 inches deep and 13.5 inches wide. The opening on the front versus the opening on the back to access the basket. Our Joolz opening is 5 inches on the front, 7.5 in the back. Butterfly version 2, 7 inches in the front, 7 inches in the back. And then our MINU version 3 is going to be 9 inches in the front and 7.5 inches in the back. So again, MINU version 3, biggest basket, most accessible basket. So if basket space matters, MINU version 3 is going to be your winner. Newborn recline. All 3 of these strollers have the option to do newborn with the Joolz, and the UPPAbaby have a much deeper recline than the Bugaboo. So Bugaboo Butterfly², yes, it works for a newborn right out of the box, but they don't include any apron piece underneath, whereas the Joolz and the UPPAbaby both have that. So I will show you the viewing audience that in 1 second. But what Bugaboo does have on a travel stroller that nobody else has, which probably seems really stupid, but I'm obsessed with, is they have a heel stirrup, which is a place for a kid to put their heels when their legs aren't super long. Bear with me. On every other travel stroller, if you have the articulating foot plate up, their feet are supported. But if you put it down and their feet aren't long enough to hit all the way to the bottom, blood can pool into their feet and the kiddos can become uncomfortable. Bugaboo is the only travel stroller on the market, and this is like of any of them, that has a place to put our heels for when we're little, but then as kiddo gets bigger, you would have this option to tuck that underneath and go all the way down to the bottom. So a heel stirrup, I really like that on a stroller. I think it's great that Bugaboo offers that. Now, something else that's a little kind of confusing when you look at these strollers is that they all look like they have removable, washable liners. It's true on these guys that these liners are removable, washable. It's also true on the Joolz that the liner is removable and washable. However, the difference would be if you took the liner off the Joolz, there's no fabric underneath on the Air², whereas if you have a throw up on one of these guys and you remove the liner, the material underneath is sufficient for the kiddo to sit on without the liner being in the stroller. Whereas with the Joolz, once the liner comes out, there's no underlying fabric, so it would be probably weirder to lay a baby directly in there after you remove the liner. So something to think about. Now, as we talked about recline, they all have pretty cool recline feature. Joolz is the most unique, where they're going to tout this new one-handed recline system that they have. I am not super familiar and fast with it yet, so I can't make it look as seamless as the other guys, but the drop down is very easy. And as you can see, that is a very flat recline. Now on the MINU, it's just a thumb piece that rolls down, just like that. Neither one of these have the ability to open up this backrest for ventilation. At least on the Joolz, we do have some ventilation here at the top. With UPPAbaby, I'm really annoyed that on this one that they didn't do any ventilation piece on the back. Yeah, you get it on the top, but who cares? Their head's down here and we want air to be venting through. And there isn't even really an additional way to have this fabric come down. Even if you unzip the top of the canopy, it goes forward, nothing comes down. So I think that that's kind of a boner move on their part. Bugaboo, pop, thumb, drops down. And again, we have no air ventilation on the back here. It may open up to, again, pull the canopy forward, but nothing to create more air in the back for the baby. So I definitely think that's a boner move on their part too. So all 3 of these companies could stand to improve their ventilation when the seats are in reclined mode. But this is something I would show my viewing audience. On the Joolz and on your UPPAbaby, the recline is, I would say, very, very deep. On Bugaboo, it is definitely more upright. Because like, if you set them next to each other, you can probably see that Bugaboo's doesn't go down as far as the other guys in terms of like recline angle. So, yeah, theoretically, newborn acceptable. I just don't know. This to me seems a little upright. I'd probably be more comfortable using this with a car seat for the first 3 months, but it says on their website 100% can be used from birth. So that is going to be your call and your comfort level with that. Now, sitting them all up from a reclined position, It's very easy with UPPAbaby. Bugaboo, also very easy. It's a little annoying to do the snap piece at the very end, but both manageable. Joolz to sit it up. They're gonna claim it's one-handed. I think that that's like a bold-faced lie. You're gonna be much better off using two hands to hook these pieces together. And again, you may want to sit your kiddo up with your leg, which is sort of what I'm pretending to do here. Also, when you sit it up, you're gonna want to tuck it in kind of carefully so that when you pull the seat up, the fabric hits in a way where it's not annoying your child. And then on the backrest, you're gonna wanna make sure it's lining up in a way where the zipper is not gonna catch on the additional material. So you'll get fast at whatever one you have. And again, this is a new style for me, so I'm not as, graceful at it, but it's definitely a cool feature that they offer. So as I mentioned, Bugaboo does have a strap in the basket. I see it right now. If I fold this up, I actually think you're better off having it come out the front. Here we go. Yep. So you would fold this up, and then foot plate would come down, and you do have the travel strap on that guy too. So if you guys have questions or comments about these strollers, please feel free to leave them below. I would love to hear what you all think. You can do a rider board for behind the Joolz. You can do a rider board for behind UPPAbaby, not on Bugaboo. And all three of these you can get a car seat adapter for to make a car seat work in here from birth. Now Joolz is special because they also have an option to do a parent-facing freestanding bassinet on the naked stroller frame here. So there's a video that I have going over that as well. Be sure to check that out. But hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And again, I love my viewing audience for bullying me into getting the Joolz Aer and to force the conversation. So very pleased that you all encouraged me to do it, and I'm always happy to get what you guys want to do these comparisons for you. Leave comments below. Head over to my website, destinationbabykids.com, to buy any of these strollers directly from me. Thanks for watching. Check out my other videos.